So before I go any further with this, I wanted to check it connected up because I only checked it after fixing the power supplies. I don't think I checked through the entire amp. I just checked into the power amp ins. But anyway, this is into the aux in, and you can see when it settles down here that we have a bit of imbalance. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to remedy that. Sometimes it's just wear in the volume control. Distortions are a little bit higher. Not terrible by any means. The left channel is within spec, the right channel is not. We'll probably get that fixed. And I need to check the phono ins to make sure we don't have a problem there before I tear this thing apart. Okay, as you can see, we have a little bit of noise. Don't forget the distortion analyzer auto ranges. But when we turn this on, still looks pretty good. 0.025 in the left channel, 0.047 in the right, still showing that bit of imbalance. I'm going to turn it off. We're going to go to phono 2, make sure that's good. Okay, and that looks good as well. See what kind of output should be the same, just a matter of switching. All right, so those inputs are good. Now I just want to check and make sure that the tuner input is good. Now I had the levels dialed way down, which is why we're only seeing 0.02 watt. If we go, let's see, 0.4 volts. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, yeah, so we're getting good output out of here. I'm going to start tearing this down, and I want to show you where we're going to start. We're going to start by pulling the front panel off. Here's something that can bite you if you're not paying attention. I'm usually not, but if you crank your amp to full output and the voltage sags, your distortion will rise. So here I am with the camera on my voltage and current monitor. Currently a little over 120 volts, and we turn the amplifier on to full output. Voltage sags about 117.7, and you can see the distortion is 0.019, 0.075, but if we turn that up to 120, you'll see that drops a little bit. So if you're trying to get really true distortion, this may be something you need to keep an eye on. We turn it off, the voltage rises back to about 123. Removing the front panel is pretty straightforward operation. We have a screw here, we have a screw here, and a screw down here. And the knobs, unlike a lot of units, don't just pull off. They all have set screws, which will necessitate the use of an Allen key or hex wrench. And this is a 1.5 millimeter, and this will work for all of them. The big volume knob can be a little challenging if you have a wrench like this. T-handles are great, but you can get them all off. So if we start here, and this is the problem because we don't have a lot of leverage, you have to feel around a little bit, but there. All right, so got that one loosened. And the rest of them come off in a similar manner. Get the screws off. I tend to use this to take these screws out, but usually not to put them in. I don't want to cross thread anything. But it's a great tool if you got to take a lot of screws out. Turn the torque up. And then once we get inside, we have other screws and pieces that we have to pull out. I'll deal with that. There's no need to watch me take all these knobs off. But this is the process. So let me stop the camera, get the rest of the knobs off, pull the front off, and I'll show you what's underneath. All right, 6 knobs, 4 screws, front panel is free. The only thing I forgot is you have to unplug the LEDs. 2 of them were already unplugged, but the rest of them weren't. So now the front panel is off. The LEDs stay in the front. So we have to plug those back in. The buttons are captive here. Sometimes these flaps that hold them in spread open like this one has, and you can lose these, so be very careful when you take it off. I usually store it like this in case one of these decides to pop loose. Normally what I do when I start taking this apart is I will pull the tone board and the tone range switch assembly out as one, so I don't have to unsolder any wires. This plate's going to have to come off, and there's a few screws we have to get at. It's not too bad to get out. Once it's out, it's not too bad to work on. So while I have done a bunch of these in the past, it's been a while and I forgot just how much stuff you had to take off to get the tone board out. You have to pull the volume control. I forget if these are recording. Let me reference the front panel here. Yeah, these are recording switches here. We also had to take out our tone, and these two are bass and treble. So we get to clean these while I have them out. But that's what I had to do in order to get the tone board out. And now we're going to start changing out all these capacitors. We'll be putting films in for a lot of the low leakage. Going to be putting in some polypropylenes in some places, replacing electrolytics. I'm going to look at these small signal transistors. They may go as well. And let me see what we got. Let me reference Lee's document. I finished the tone board. I changed out a lot of all the electrolytic capacitors, all the small signal transistors, the fusible resistors that tend to go up in value, and replaced some of the older film capacitors with polypropylene or film types per Ben's document. Board came out really nicely. When I replaced the fusible resistors, they were standing off the board. So I bought a tool that puts this kink in the legs of the resistors. And I don't know why, but I swear to you, I have to teach myself how to use that every single time I pick it up. Granted, I don't pick it up that often, but I usually have to try once or twice before I get the hang of it again. So I'm going to show you what I took off of this board, and then going to put it back in and we'll give it a quick test. These were all the parts that came off the tone board. When we put in everything else, I replaced these filter caps. They measured a little low. They're supposed to be 15,000 microfarad. They measure around 9 or 10, most of them. It's kind of surprising. They're usually better than that. And these were the rest of the parts that were changed out so far. You can see there's a fair amount of parts here. Got a new relay. Some of the parts have rolled onto the floor, never to be seen again. We'll get another small handful of parts before we're done. But this unit's going to be good for the long haul after this. I'm going to continue on. I'm going to put this back in. We'll give it a test, and then we're going to go on to the equalizer board for the phono and a couple other minor things we have to look at. One thing I forgot to mention is that if you follow Ben's directions, you are replacing 2 electrolytic capacitors with a single bipolar electrolytic, because they had 2 standard in series, which is the same thing as a bipolar. So he just replaces one bipolar, and he tells you that you need to put a jumper in the empty holes. But he has you do another one and neglects to tell you you also need to do it there. I also want to bring up that some of the PNP transistors pin out base collector emitter, not emitter collector base. So you need to not put them in the same orientation, but rather watch the silk screening on the board. I got the board stuck back in here. I didn't put all the screws in case I made any kind of error. But I started it up on the dim bulb and it came up fine. So I'm going to bring it up on regular power and we'll see what we get out of this. I'm curious if the imbalance got any better or if the distortion specs got any better. So turned on. Clicks out of protection. Now let me turn the scope and the distortion analyzer on. Let's see what we can get out of this. Ooh, overshot a little there. Okay. We still got that bit of imbalance. It's probably just wear in the volume pot, although I'm going to clean the pre-main switch in the back and see if it gets any better. But the other thing I want to do is feed in a square wave and see what the tone controls look like. Let me get that set up. Okay, this is feeding a square wave in. I turned the distortion analyzer off because square waves inherently just are distortion. With the tone controls defeated, we have pretty good square wave response. I put the tone controls in. I turn the treble up. You notice that the leading edge gets peaked up, which is what treble will do. If I flatten that out and turn the bass up, you see it does this. So our tone controls are working, but I did notice that when we change the ranges on the bottom end, this is the 400 hertz turnover range for the bottom end or the bass. But this one, there's a problem on the left channel. Notice the difference in the waveforms. I'm going to have to investigate that and see what's going on. I should have checked this before I got in to see if it was something I did, but either way, I need to determine what the problem here is. Spent some time looking at this circuit and I couldn't figure out why there would be a problem, because basically the way these switches work is there's only actually two switches here. This simply pops this one open. And I'll show you on the schematic and the layout why that works that way. But basically, turns out, as is often the case, it was just 30 switches. And now they both look very, very similar to each other. That was the only problem with that. I'm going to pop the schematic up here, talk about it a little bit, and then we're going to wind this video up. If we look here, you can see that there's actually only one switch, and this is the switch that simply opens this switch up. So they look like they toggle, but there's only actually one active circuit here. And it's a little tough to follow here, but if we take a close look, F2665 is our tone board where the pots are, and the switches are F2666. And basically what happens is when we open one of these, when we close the switch, it simply bypasses the resistor here. And I couldn't imagine that there was a problem with these resistors because they have a really easy life in this kit. So as it turned out, it was just 30 switches. So anyway, I'm going to finish putting the screws back into the tone board. I didn't put them all in because you never know if you're going to have to pull them out again. So I'm going to finish putting all the screws back in here and put all the washers, the nuts and washers back on those. And then we're going to pull out the EQ board for the phono. That's going to necessitate taking the back loose, and we'll also be getting into where the pre-main switch is, because there's a couple of capacitors there that we're going to replace. So as always, I thank everyone for watching, and I like giving back to the community that's given me so much. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.